The medical bay of the starship hummed with soft blue light as Lyra examined her reflection in the metal panel. Skin shimmered with a faint silver glow that marked her as one of the Valorian people, and her eyes were large and dark like pools. Of deep space, she had been assigned to work alongside the human crew for 6 months now, and every day brought new confusion about these strange, niche, emotional creatures. Lyra pressed her hand against her chest, where humans claimed their hearts lived. She felt nothing, no flutter, no ache, no warmth. Her people had evolved past such primitive responses centuries ago. Valorians had engineered themselves to be efficient, logical, and above. All free from the weakness of physical suffering. Pain was a distant memory, and their genetic history. Discomfort was merely data veen. Pleasure was muted and clinical. Shay had watched the humans on the ship with growing curiosity. They laughed too loud, cried over small things, and seemed to feel everything with an intensity that bewildered her. The human medical officer, Katie, had once cut her hand on a sharp tool, and tears had sprung to her eyes. Immediately, Lyra had scanned the wound and determined it was superficial, yet Katie had needed several minutes to compose herself. How did they function like this? How did they make decisions when their bodies screamed at them constantly? The door to the medical bay slid open, and Commander Lucas entered, holding his arm at an awkward angle. I immediately moved toward him with her scanner ready. What happened? She asked. Training accident, he said with a tight smile. I think I pulled something. She ran the scanner along his shoulder and arm, noting the inflamed muscle tissue and minor tear in his rotator cuff. You need to rest this for 3 days minimum, she told him. He laughed, which seemed inappropriate given his injury. 3 days. Katie would have me back in Tulara. Tilted her head. Katie would be incorrect. Tissue needs time to heal properly. Lucas studied her face for a moment, then his expression softened. You really don't feel things the way we do. She had heard this observation before. No, we do not. My people evolved beyond such limitations. Must be lonely, he said quietly. The statement confused her. Lonely implies an emotional state of longing for connection. I do not experience longing. He smiled again, but this time it looked sad. Maybe that's the loneliest thing of Alice. He left Lyra, found herself unable to focus on her work. His words had planted something in her mind that she could not classify or dismiss. She thought about the way Katie had grabbed her injured hand and held it close. The way Lucas had tensed his jaw against what must have been significant pain. The way the crew gathered in the common area each evening to share meals and stories as though they needed it like oxygen. That evening, she went to the common area herself. She usually avoided it during peak hours because the noise and chaos overwhelmed her organized mind. But tonight, she wanted to observe. Katie was there, along with pilot Amy and engineer Chris. They were playing some kind of card game and laughing. When Katie saw Lyra, she waved her over. Come join us. Lyra hesitated but moved toward the table. I do not know the rules of your game. We will teach you, Amy said cheerfully. She had warm brown skin and bright eyes that seemed to smile even when her mouth did not. For the next hour, Lyra tried to understand the game. It involved strategy, but also something the humans called bluffing, where you deliberately deceive the other players. This seemed counterproductive to her. Why not simply play the optimal strategy? Where's the fun in that? Chris asked. He had sandy hair and moved his hands constantly when he spoke. The fun is in the surprise in reading people and taking risks. Lyra did not understand, but she continued to play. She won 3 rounds in a row by calculating probabilities and making logical choices. Katie laughed and threw her cards down. This is why we never gamble with you science types. You take all the joy out of it. But Lyra noticed something. Katie laughed. Her whole body participated. Her shoulders shook, her eyes crinkled, her hand came up to cover her mouth. It was inefficient, but there was something about it that made Lyra want to keep watching. After the game ended, Katie asked if Lyra wanted to stay and watch a movie with them. The others were heading to bed, but Katie said she was too wound up to sleep. Lyra agreed, though she did not fully understand why. They went to Katie's quarters, which were smaller than Lyra's but filled with personal items, photographs of people who must be Katie's family, a soft blanket in shades of blue and green, a plant that required daily care, books with worn covers. Katie noticed her looking around. No, it is a mess. It is not a mess, Lyra said. It is very. Yukati smiled at that. Is that a compliment? He believed so. sat on Katie's bed because there was only one chair, and Katie insisted Lyra take the more comfortable spot. Katie pulled up a movie on her tablet, something she promised was light and funny as. The movie played. Lyra found herself aware of Katie's presence beside her. The humans generated more heat than Valorians did. She could feel the warmth radiating from Katie's body, even though they were not touching. Halfway through the movie, Katie laughed at something and leaned slightly against Lyra's shoulder. It was barely contact, just a brush of arm against arm, but Lyra felt something of fluttery warmth that spread from the point of contact through her chest. She froze, uncertain what was happening. Katie must have noticed because she pulled back immediately. Sorry. I am a leaner, my friends. Always complained that I invade their space. You did not invade. Lyra said quickly. It was acceptable, more than acceptable actually, but she did not know how to explain that. Katie smiled and relaxed back against her, this time with more confidence. The movie continued, but Lyra was no longer watching. She was focused entirely on the sensation of Katie's shoulder against hers, the rise and fall of Katie's breathing, the way Katie's hair smelled like something sweet and clean. When the movie ended, Katie yawned and stretched high. Should let you go, she said. You probably have early rounds tomorrow. Lyra did, but she found herself reluctant to leave instead. She heard herself ask, do you ever have difficulty sleeping? Katie laughed. All the time. Space messes with my rhythms. I have the same issue. Lyra lied. She did not have that. HFY Valorians needed very little sleep, and their cycles were icily managed, but she wanted a reason to stay. Katie looked at her with those warm eyes. You want to stay tonight? We could just sleep. I mean, if you want company, you're a new. She should say no. This was irregular. It served no medical or scientific purpose, but she found herself nodding. That would be acceptable. Katie's smile was bright enough to light the dim quarters. She offered Lyra some sleep clothes, and they changed an awkward silence. When they lay down in the bed, Katie turned off the lights. In the darkness, Lyra could hear every sound: Katie's breathing, the soft rustle of fabric, the hum of the ship around them. I am going to move closer, Katie whispered. Is that okay? Yes, Lyra whispered back. Katie shifted until her back was against Lyra's front. Then she reached back and pulled Lyra's arm around her waist. This is how I sleep best, she murmured, already sounding drowsy. With someone close, Lyra lay perfectly still. The warmth of Katie's body was overwhelming. Could feel Katie's heartbeat through her back, steady and strong. Could feel the rise and fall of her breathing. Could feel every point where their bodies touched hand. Then she felt something else. Tightness in her chest. An ache that was not quite pain, but not quite pleasure. Her throat felt strange and tight. Her eyes began to sting. She did not understand what was happening to her body. Katie made a small, contented sound and pressed back closer against her, and that is when Lyra realized with sudden, shocking clarity this was pain. Not the pain of injury or illness, but the pain of feeling something so intensely that her body did not know how to contain it. The pain of caring about someone, the pain of wanting something she had never wanted before, the pain of being vulnerable. Her people had eliminated physical pain, but they had also eliminated this terrible, wonderful ache of connection. A sound escaped her throat, small and broken. Katie shifted immediately, turning in her arms. Lyra, are you okay now? Lyra said, I do not think I am. What is wrong? Katie's hands came up to cup Lyra's face in the darkness. Are you hurt? Yes. Lyra said, no, I do not. No, I do not know. Katie sat up and turned on a small light. Her face was creased with concern. Tell me what you are feeling. I feel. Lyra struggled to find words for something she had no experience with. They feel like my chest is too small for what is inside. Edie, feel like I want to be closer to you, but we are already touching. I feel like something is breaking, but also fixing it. The same time, understanding dawned on Katie's face. Slowly, she breathed. Lyris, this pain. Lyra asked, is this what you feel? Katie's eyes were shining. No, yes, this is pain, but it is also joy and fear and hope and a dozen other things all mixed together. How do you bear it? Lyra asked. How do you function when everything feels like this? Katie smiled and wiped at her eyes. You just don't. It helps when you have someone to share it with. She pulled Lyra close and held her while Lyra experienced the full weight of human emotion for the first time. It was overwhelming and terrifying, and she understood now why Katie had cried over a cut hand, because when you felt things this deeply, everything mattered. was significant. Every joy was profound. Every connection was precious. They lay back down, and Katie kept her arms around Lyra this time. "I am frightened," Lyra admitted. "I know," Katie said, "but I am here," and that somehow made it bearable over. The following weeks, Lyra found that what she had experienced that night was not an anomaly. The feelings did not fade or diminish, if anything. They grew stronger. She began to notice things she had never paid attention to before.